Hello everyone, and welcome to another video of mine, where today I explore or find a solution for something that isn't exactly in the best shape, and this time it will be about the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution. Now I know this car doesn't exist anymore, but hopefully this idea will spark something from someone from somewhere. Before getting started, I would like to say that I'll be referring to it as a new name scheme that I came up with, that being the Mitsubishi Evolution, rather than the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution, because not only does this make it a substantially longer name than it needs to be, there's also the fact that the Lancer is also gone, so there's no point in having the Lancer name in it. However, we can still base it on the Lancer for one last time, but it would need to be its own platform and name scheme from now on, similar to how Toyota made the GT86 and the GR86 and GR Corolla, and how Subaru did it with the WRX, which moved away from the Impreza. Now, getting into the first thing, let's talk about how it should look and what chassis should be used. The next Mitsubishi Evolution, or Evo 11, should utilize the Evo 10's platform, the CZ4A. This not only helps Mitsubishi work around a platform that they already have developed, and it's something that they're pretty familiar with, so this will cut down on costs. It should also be a continuation and an evolution of the Evo 10, just how like the previous generations were, always trying to be better than its previous self, or be an evolution of one another. The looks of the car should be based on the 11th gen Lancer, and of course needs to be modernized, but not too heavily where it ruins the car. It should feature Evo aspects to it, like having large front fog lights, the large wing, the decently sized Brembo brakes, the aluminum roof, hood, and any other major surface of the car that will allow it to shed some weight. The Evo 11 should feature its aggressive and rough, yet streamlined and smooth edges and body lines, similar to the old Evos. It should remain faithful to its original design and characteristics. It shouldn't be too far different from the Evo 10. This new Evo 11 would weigh at around 3,200 pounds to 3,600 pounds with all the modern tech and bells and whistles added to it. There needs to be a weight difference of around 300 to 500 pounds from the previous generation, since a lot of tech and safety has evolved and unfortunately has gotten heavier since 2015. Moving on to the interior of the Evo 11. This should come as no surprise, but if Mitsubishi is going to sell the Evo 11 at a high price, which I highly imagine they would need to keep a modern standard and give a decently high quality interior product. I'm not saying it should have a full leather trim or feature the whole high-end sports car status treatment. However, it should offer a at least significantly higher quality interior compared to the base model Lancer. It shouldn't use the same quality materials as the base model Lancer at all. It should really encompass that this is an evolution. It is the best version of the car, as we're basing it off of that car from one last time. For example, the seats need to be made out of cloth or fabric that is of higher quality, maybe even a mixture of leather and Cedu, and use high-end bolstering seats similar to what the Evo 10 had. The dashboard and major surfaces should use high-end plastic, yet it should be nice to the touch and shouldn't feel cheap. Another material they can use is a kind of rubbery surface similar to what Toyota uses in their medium-ish lineup and some of their GR models too. Maybe some parts could be made out of leather. I understand that Toyota has a higher amount of income compared to Mitsubishi. However, if they're going to try to sell it to people with the current market pricing, they need to offer a bit more than what they're comfortable with. Maybe if it sells well, they could slowly add more and more better upholstery to the car to show that the money that they're generating from the sales of the Evo 11 will be put back into the car, showing that they still care and give back from the profits they made. Some more features that I think will not only save costs to the car, but will make it feel more driver focused, is having a real gauge cluster. Sure, it's becoming more and more a thing of the past. However, for me, seeing a real gauge cluster in a sporty car is a better feel and look to me. Maybe they could integrate some small screen in the middle or somewhere around to tell other features, while the main tachometer and speedometer would remain physical and real gauges. And if they really wanted to make a full screen gauge, they could make it as an option as an upgradable feature to once again boost profits for those that need it. A second feature that I like to see is a real physical handbrake. This again cuts down on costs and makes the car a whole lot simpler to produce, with less technology being added to it for a simple thing within a car. This isn't an uncommon thing to do in modern cars too. Some cars still use a manual handbrake, like the Mazda Miata, GR Corolla, GR86, the new WRX, and a few more cars. The final feature I like to see in the Evo 11 is a turnkey, or otherwise being able to turn on the car with a physical key. As you can tell, I want this car to be as physical as possible with the driver, and this once again cuts down on costs of the car. But if someone really wanted to push the start button, they could pay for the upgraded feature once more. Since this is Mitsubishi, this is not your regular car brand. In preparation for the next section that I'm going to talk about, I'd like to quickly talk about modern tech, specifically things like random parking or detection sensors and other safety things that I understand are there for a reason, but they also negatively impact the car's performance and weight. Although I want this car to be as safe and as modern as possible, if Mitsubishi wants to save costs on this car, which they could think is not going to last or sell well, they could decrease the amount of sensors and overall tech being added to the car, really only keep the necessary tech and keep it more driver focused. To further drive the idea that the Evo 11 is a lot more than just a sedan with some upgrades added to it, it needs to be a driver's car. A car that has all the bells and whistles of a sports car will be compacted into a sedan, which could blow the doors off its competitors and no one else that could pose a threat to it. Getting into the mechanical parts of the car, starting off with the all-wheel drive. The Evo's all-wheel drive system at one point was being known for one of the best in terms of capability, being absolutely insane and being extremely intelligent. Now imagine it with modern tech being integrated with it. In my personal opinion, it would be quite deadly because, as I said before, tech back then wasn't as advanced as it is now. And if we paired our new foundings of technology and updated Mitsubishi's old super all-wheel control with modern parts and engineering, I would imagine it would be one of the best, if not the best, all-wheel drive systems out there for a simple sedan. It would be revolutionary all over again, just how it was back then. If they do it right and still have the same insane people that brought us the old all-wheel drive system, it would be a complete monster. Moving forth to the engine, Mitsubishi should use their 4B11T engine, which they already have used in the Evo 10. This once again not only cuts down on costs, since they're going to be using an already developed engine, but this also gives simplicity in the new Evo 11. Because we're basing off the Evo 11 off of the Evo 10's chassis, it means that the engine and chassis are very compatible. The engine should be timed to be more aggressive and needs to have an advanced ignition, similar to how it was before. It should also feature the usual big turbo alongside the 2-liter engine. The engine should be rated at around 350 to 380 horsepower, maybe even 400 for shits and giggles, if Mitsubishi is able to manage it, of course. The reason I'm suggesting these power ratings is because the car is going to be very heavy in the first place, and overall cars have naturally gained horsepower over the years. Sure, not all cars need high horsepower to be good. For example, cars like the Mazda Miata and other sports cars on the market right now have less than 300 horsepower, but are an absolute blast to drive in. However, this sedan is also different, so it's not really fair to be compared to that. The next major mechanical component of a car that connects to the engine is the gearbox. The Evo 11 at launch should feature a 6-speed manual only option. I understand that in this day and age an automatic would be a better offer. However, if we once again wanted to cut down on costs and make a simple alternative, manual gearbox is best at that. It is also lighter than an automatic transmission and gives a more driver-focused feel to the car. I would also imagine that a manual transmission will sell better for this kind of car compared to an automatic. However, if enough people demand it for an automatic version, Mitsubishi might have to give in, which I really don't hope happens. But since it happened with the GR Corolla, it could easily become a thing. I also did a decent amount of research and didn't find any information if Mitsubishi offers a 6-speed manual alongside the 4B11 engine. So unfortunately, Mitsubishi would have to develop a whole new transmission for this engine and layout. It would have to be pretty robust and strong since it's going to be handling a whole all-wheel drive system and the new powerful engine. I really do hope that Mitsubishi doesn't give in and make an automatic version of this car. Though if it's a choice between an automatic or a CVT option, I would choose an automatic any day. A CVT should never be offered with this car. With all the good things that I talked about and all the cost savings that I proposed, all good things have to come to an end. I'm now going to be talking about the price of the new Mitsubishi Evolution 11. The ideal price for this new car would be at around $35,000 to $40,000. However, because we live in this day and age, the real price of the new Evo 11 would be at around $40,000 to $60,000 without dealer markups. I'm also speaking for the American market. I would expect that prices in Europe would be a lot more fair and ideal, and in Asian markets, specifically like in Japan, it would be around the ideal pricing mark. Though at the end of the day, there isn't a point getting sad about the new price of the air quotes new Evo 11, because not only is this just a concept of me wishing for the best for the new Evo to come back, but we know that if the Evo were to come back, it would end up being some boring ass SUV and the nameplate would be absolutely tarnished. Anyways, that's about it. See ya.